Hello my lovelies and welcome back. It seems to have been an age since I last posted on here. It was the beginning of June and now we're halfway through July. Where is this year going? I'd like to say welcome back to those of you that have seen me before, and hello and welcome to those of you that are catching me for the first time. I really appreciate all of you that have chosen to subscribe to my channel. It does my channel good. It gets me out there and seen. It's all to do with algorithms and such like. I love the comments. I've had some nice comments and questions, so please keep those coming. So let's get to it without any more sort of waffling, because I would like to, apart from my makes, I would like to show you what I'm hoping to be making this month, or at least starting to make this month, given that we're so far into the month already. So the first thing I made was this. I should put pictures in. This is a cotton, well, it's not a broad rayon glaze as such because there are no holes in it, but as you can see, it's an embroidered cotton. It's quite a heavyweight cotton, and those of you that know the peppermint top, the Paddington, that came out again, that was the beginning, end of May, beginning of June. I really like that top, and those of you that have seen my channel before know that I like to either dupe or hack an existing pattern into something that is brand new, partly to save some pennies. That extra money that I saved on patterns I can put towards fabric, and who doesn't like spending their money on fabric? And the other thing is that I actually like to get the whole brain going, sort of working out the whys and wherefores of trying to sort of, especially from when it's a visual, when I haven't got an existing pattern to work from, but the whys and wherefores of how it's constructed, and looking at pictures online and trying to deconstruct it in my mind. Now, those of you that know the peppermint top know that this is not quite like it. This is my inspiration. First off and foremost, the obvious thing is that there are buttons down the front. The peppermint top has a button down back, which is really, really pretty, but I decided against that for two reasons. One is that I thought about, if you lean back into a seat, would the buttons be uncomfortable? And the second reason is that I do have mobility issues, so trying to button up a top, if Carl's not around, my husband that is, it would be difficult to try and button it up myself. So I decided to put the buttons down the front. These are poppers. They are the pearl poppers. And the reason I hadn't intended to do pearl poppers, I wanted to do some mother of pearl buttons, but this fabric is quite thick, and by the time I didn't even bother interfacing, by the time I'd doubled over, I've done a doubled over placket, it was quite thick, especially where you've got this embroidery is really thick cotton, and I don't trust my buttonhole part of my machine at the best of times, let alone when it's tackling a potentially difficult fabric. So I thought, rather than risk it, because unpicking buttonholes for an embroidered fabric, it would just ruin it, I just went straight for the pearl poppers as I had them in my stash. Now, if I remember rightly, the peppermint top I think has a raglan sleeve. I've just done a setting sleeve, and I've done a poofy. It's a self-drafted poofy with a deep hem, and I think that's a 1-inch elastic. Now, my friend Lynn, who's So Old Soul, said that this is very much like an assembly line top. I can't remember the name of it now, but she thought that was very reminiscent of that. I've kept the bodice simple. Sorry about knocking the iPad. I've kept the bodice very simple at the back, and all I've done is I just ever so slightly from the armpit to the hem, just ever so slightly, took it out a little bit so that it would fit over my hips nicely, not grab, but not be too baggy. As I say, photos will be put up for you to see it. Really, really pleased how this turned out. I used a, I was going to be really organised. I used my bodice from, I haven't got it here. I know it is. I used a bodice from my dress pattern that I use and just cut down the middle, gave myself some extra to fold over and overlap, and that was it. And I made a facing just by using the shape of the neckline and obviously doing it in mirrored so that I could, well no, it wasn't even mirrored. What am I talking about, Shirley? I just did the facing, that shape, about that deep. Let's have a look. I'll show you. That's the better way to do it. So it wasn't even that deep. It's just an inch deep, facing all the way around. And that's it. Simple make, easily done. If you've got any type of dress pattern that's just a sort of slightly boxy bodice, that's all you need to do, really. Really simple. So that was my first make, and then my second make was a mashing of two patterns. Now here I am organised. A mashing of two patterns. I got this pattern, which is the Style Arc Victor Woven Jean, which is a new pattern. Any of you that follow Alex Judge, and I'll link her site below, will see that a couple of months ago now, or maybe, no, it would be a couple of months ago now, she made these and they looked absolutely fab, and I thought I want to have a go at those, and they have. You can't see on the, I'll show you on the trouser, but the detail, oh, actually you can see on the line drawing, you've got a dart in the bottom of the pants, and that's front and back, and it's ever such a slightly shaped leg, so it gives you that banana type shape. Now I'd originally intended to make these and hack the top to make a semi-elasticated waistband, with the waistband being at the back and straight at the front. But when I got the pattern, I realised it had, well, it is, as it says, it's a jeans pattern. So trying to do that was just going to be too messy. So what I did was I took the legs and traced that part of the pattern, and then this pattern, which is New Look, what's that, 6517, is a pattern I've had for the longest time, and I've made these trousers lots of times, but when I've made them, I've narrowed the legs down because I just didn't want wide legs. And the thing with trouser patterns, when you go up a size, or once you get past a size 16, they tend to make the legs really wide, and I don't think it's in proportion to the body size. They assume that because you've gone up in hips that your thighs have got bigger, but that's not necessarily the case, especially with us older ladies, where we start to get weighty around the middle, but we might get a little bit more scrawny on the thighs. I've made these trousers before, a straight pattern, so I'd already done all my toiles and made the pants up, so I knew that I could use this bit to fit, and they are lovely pockets. So I'll show you them. Again, I've got some photos and I'll post those up with the video. So as you can see, you've got the straight waistband at the front. Let's have a look, where are we? So it's there. I just didn't get it to quite line up. right, or I cut this a little bit too small. And I thought, I'm just not going to faff about, because that little bit of my waistband is going to be covered anyway, because I don't wear anything that short. So you've got sort of like, I don't know, a third front flat, and then at the back, you've got a nice deep, well, I've made it a nice deep waistband. That's a 2-inch elastic. I find that much more comfortable sitting in the waist, because it has a tendency not to roll, and just sit nicely, it doesn't cut in. And then what I've done with the elastic is, where you've got these seams here, I've done the old lightning stitch just to anchor it down. But it's really nicely done on the inside, actually, the way the elastic goes in. And I choose now to do this on all my elasticated trouser patterns, because you have one big piece, which is this piece here, and then the smaller piece at the front. But you join them together, but you make you sort of make not a buttonhole exactly, you just leave a little bit of the seam undone, sort of in the middle, and then that's when where you feed the elastic through. And that makes such a neat way of doing it, rather than trying to get it in there, and I always think it's a bit messy. So that's a really nice way of finishing for elastic band waistbands. Pockets I love on this. They are I think they call them, do they call them mutton pockets? They're front facing there, and then you've got them going in their nice deep pocket. You can see my hand goes up to my wrist, and they come down nicely. I love a bit of top stitching. I know I've done it in self-coloured thread, and they come round nicely. And what's nice about the pockets is that they actually, even with my tummy pushing them out a little bit, they don't stick out. Now I made, or the legs. This is the lovely bit I love. Oh, get those threads off. A little bit of tacking thread. You have the legs here, where they get pulled in by this ginormous long dart, but it's a very narrow dart, as you can see. It's not so wide at the bottom, and then obviously goes up. Oh, more tacking thread, because you haven't worn these yet, to a tiny weeny dart. So, and you have that both front and back. And it's really strange, because when I was doing the pattern, tracing out the pattern, the leg bit, the darts are off centre, and I thought, is that going to be right? Surely they need to be in the middle to bring it in. But no, I trusted the pattern. I've made a couple of style art patterns. I've actually got quite a few in my stash that I have not got around to making yet, but I do like their patterns. They always come out as I think they're going to come out, so I trusted the process. And I'm really, really pleased with these trousers. They're very comfortable because of the elasticated waist, and the leg is really flattering, because I've got enough width around my thigh to be a little bit loose, and then it comes into a nice tapered bottom. But the thing, you've got to be, especially if you're a little bit hippie, you've got to be careful with a tapered bottom, because you can end up looking sort of a bit penguiny. But the shaping of these legs is just brilliant. I think it's down to that little curve. I want to make these again, but I will, and I'll discuss that, make them as per the pattern with the zip front, but I'll explain that in a minute. So that's that. Linen, where did I get the linen? Actually, I think this was an eBay purchase, linen, from a seller that I've used lots of times before. If I've still got the details, or if they've still got the linens, because it's that time of year now where they're running out of linen. Now, it's a bit hot in here, so if just bear with, I need to get my fan, because I'm getting a bit hot. Now, the last make I made is, anyone that follows me on Instagram, and I put my Instagram details, either if I can figure out how to put it at the bottom of the screen, I'll put it in the description box below, because I have a different Instagram handle. Anyone that follows me on Instagram will know that this dress has taken me 3 weeks to make. It's a dress I made before. Anyone that saw my yellow dress I made for my birthday, well, I didn't make it for my birthday, I made it at the end of last summer and wore it on my birthday back in May, will know that it's an easy pattern. It's basically a shell top with sleeves and 2 tiers. That's it, nothing to it. And I started making the dress and it started raining, and it rained and it rained and it rained for 3 weeks, and it wasn't cold, but it was really dark and dull. And I'd come up in here to my sewing room, I'd pick up the sewing, do 5 minutes of it and think, I can't do this, I really can't do this. But I am not one for starting something, either falling out of love with it or getting attracted by the next shiny object and putting it away thinking I'll come back to it later, because I know that if I do that, it'll get covered up by other stuff, put away, forgotten, become unloved. You know where I'm going with this. So I made myself finish this. And the other thing I want to say is, how many times have I've told myself time and time again, don't sew when you're tired. Now, my bedtime's quite early. I'm an oldie, so I'm usually in bed 9:30 to 10 o'clock at night. And it was 11 o'clock at night, and I'm sewing this because it was towards the end. I had about half an hour's worth of sewing tops to finish this off. And I kept at it thinking, I've got to finish this, I've got to finish this. And if I didn't make one mistake once, I made the same mistake twice over. And it's because I was tired. And the next morning when I came back, I'd unpicked it before going to bed, but the next morning I came back and bish bash bosh, straight through the machine, straight through the overlocker. And yeah, don't sew when you're tired. So this is it. This is I'm pretty sure, because I did have a look, she still has this. I got this off an Etsy seller, but she also sells on eBay and she has her own shop. I will put the link below. And it's, I think they call it buffalo gingham. I just call it giant gingham, but I think the proper name is buffalo gingham. It's the huge gingham. Huge gingham. And it's my favourite dress top. It's the simplicity. And I will put up, I've put it aside, I will put up the packet picture so you can see which one it is. But it's a simplicity top. No, it's not simplicity, is it? It's McCall's. It's a McCall's dress. And I've used it lots of times to make tops. The yellow dress that I wore in May was the first time I've made it as a dress. And this is the second time I've made it as a dress, and I've hacked it. It should be a plain pull-on shell top. No shaping, no darts, no French seams, no nothing, just a straight shell top. And it should have straight just above the elbow sleeves. So what I've done, and just a little slit in the back with a tie. I tend to make a keyhole because it gives a nicer finish. So what I've done with this is look at that for pattern matching, look at that. I cut the bodice in two, or made it in 2 parts, giving myself a seam allowance of just the 1/2 inch, which I've used as the self-facing. I was going to top stitch it down, but by the time I'd put the binding on, which I put on like you would a collar stand, so that's over the top. By the time I put the binding on, that sits actually nicely when it's on. And then I self-drafted some. This is what I was having the problem with. It was putting the binding on the bottoms of these sleeves. And it was just the one sleeve. And yeah, I'm not going to bore you with the whole details, but I just went wrong about twice. So I've got these nice poofy sleeves that are gathered into a loose gathered bottom and then just bound. I didn't want to put any elastic on them because I wanted them to sit loose like that, and they sit about there. As I say, I'll put some pictures in, and I have got a little bit of video to show you. And then I put in just some, I didn't put any deep pockets in. There's an alternative skirt pattern to this dress that does have pockets. The tiered dress doesn't, but I put pockets in. They're so hidden I can't find them. There we go. And just a little pocket, and it has the 2 tiers. And oh, I love this. I love this, and it's a really heavy. It actually is quite warm, and it'll be a nice dress to wear for autumn time or springtime with opaques and either boots or loafers, because it's got a good, it actually has a really good weight to it, and it swirls, and that's because of the weight it swirls. So those are my makes. Only three this month, but now you've seen that one took me 3 weeks, you'll understand why. Now my makes for, or my plans for next month or this month coming, I'm obviously not going to finish everything, because the first thing I want to make is, I don't know if I've shown you this before, is this version of the jacket. It's a half-lined jacket with, and it's proper suit style jacket, centre seam, and there's a little vent at the back, 2-part sleeve with buttons, and I'm going to make that for the hubster in linen. It's half lined, just the top yokes, well, the front yoke here and the back and the sleeves, but it's got all the proper pockets and everything. So I'm going to make that, and I've got some lovely fabric, like I said, linen. So I've got this lovely taupey linen. I don't think this colour's going to come up so well because it's so dark, and I've had to film fairly late on in the day. I was hoping to do it in the garden today, but the weather just didn't turn out as it should have been. But it's a really lovely linen, and it's actually quite, well, my hubby's an extra large. He's a 46-inch chest, so it's one of the bigger sizes. So it takes about 4 meters of fabric. So that's one of my nice slow makes. So I want to make that. And the other thing, or the other 2 things I know I'm definitely going to try and make is, I had a little bit of splurge from the lovely Andrea, from Beyond the Pink Door, her shop. Yes, I tune into her live streams on a Sunday evening where she shows all her fabric, but they are put up on YouTube, so you can sort of get to watch them, you know, either after the time or the next day. But she's so popular with her fabrics that if you don't get there quickly, they sell out. I'm sorry about this. I'm just so hot. Now, if I was a professional star, I'd have a makeup artist coming to pat me down. Right, this is gorgeous fabric. It's a little bit sheerer than I thought. I thought it was going to be more like it's a viscose cotton mix, and I thought it was going to be more of a chalet weight. It's not, but it's not a royal weight either. It's somewhere in between, but because it's got the cotton in, it's not as I've cut the pieces out already, so I'm trying to show it's not as frayy as a viscose. Now you can see it's quite, it's quite sheer, but it's beautiful. And I don't know if it's going to come up. It's not going to come up. There's a sort of damask effect going on, a sort of a plaid damask on the purple bits. It's red, and it's a little orangey red. It's just stunning, gorgeous colours. Now, if you've seen my duped sagebrush top, that's what I'm doing again, and it's again using the pattern that I've just shown you for my frock that I've just made. I'm going to do my duped sagebrush top, but because it's a very sheer fabric, I mean, I will most probably wear a cami under it anyway, I've actually made it so that there's going to be lots more fabric along this piece here, so that you get lots and lots of gathering. And it's sheer enough not to stick out and look maternity frocky or toppy, but hopefully the gathering of the fabrics will make it opaque enough to be decent. But I'll be wearing a sort of a cami underneath that anyway. So I'm going to make the sage brush out of that, and I also want to make another sage brush because it's such a nice top. It's such a nice top. It's such a pretty top. Again from Andrea. Now, I hadn't intended to buy this. I'd gone on there to get some linen, which I'll show you in a minute. I'd gone on there to get some linen and something like a viscose to make the top, and because I've already got some broderie and glaze that I put away from last year to make another top, and I saw this broderie and glaze. Let me get this sorted. I want to see the pattern. It's so pretty. It's quite a fine one. Again, I suppose it's cotton lawn weight, and I hadn't intended to buy it, but she's named it as Emmy on her site, and my mum's name was Emmy, so it spoke to me quite literally. So I want to make a sagebrush top out of that, and then lastly, I'm not going to get all this done, I know that, but what I will do, if it looks like it's going to be a long time, I shall post another vlog in the future. If not, I shall do a part one and a part two. This is not going to show up. This is this linen that I got from Andrea as well. It's looking grey, but she called it old green on the site. I don't know if she's still got it. Any of these fabrics that she still has, I will link you down below, but I'll link you to her shop anyway if you don't know her. But it's a lovely soft, I wouldn't even call it sagey green. It's somewhere between a sage and a khaki. It's a grey green, but it's definitely green, but it's grey khaki. And it's her enzyme washed denim, not denim, linen. And oh, it's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Love a bit of linen. So I'm going to make some trousers, and I'm toying with, because as I said earlier, I do like a half elasticated waist, but more so in the, oh, this is dreadful, isn't it? More so in the summertime, and in the winter time I don't mind a zip fly, so I may go and do these as is, or I shall show you the pattern. I made some black trousers last month, McCall's pattern again, and I will put a picture up. I thought those trousers, and they're a paper bag trouser, they would be a really nice trouser as well to make. And I think that's about it. And it's only 28 minutes. I've been really, really good. Yes, I'm done. I'm done. Right, my lovelies, I'm done. I want to remind you of Sewing Club. We have Sewing Club on Sundays, which is part and parcel of it's on the Clubhouse platform, and Alex Judge of Alex Judge Sews, she started the club up. That's on a Sunday at 3:30. We normally have topics of discussion, and then it sort of, once we've sort of exhausted that, we go into just general sewing chit chat. And then we've started another sewing club on the Tuesday evening, and that's at 19:30 British Summer Time, and that's just general sewing chat. I might start off with a little subject just to warm us up, but it's just general sewing chat. That was partly to accommodate people who have kids and family that spend the weekends with their families, rather than sort of sit listening or talking on a, well, it's not a podcast. I suppose it's like an interactive podcast, because you can either sit and listen or you can join in the chat. So it was basically to let those people that couldn't join us on a Sunday, they could come on a Tuesday, but you can join both those. I'm going to put a whole load of details about that in the description, the whys and wherefores, how you get there, what you need to do, and when the clubs are. And that's it. Take care. It's been nice talking to you. I hope you have enjoyed this, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye now.